All right, hey, welcome back to Car Talks, where I rant, ramble, rave, and word about my thoughts on training, life, and fitness. We talked a lot more about life recently, I guess, but talk a little bit about training because actual programs, specific instructions, clearly defined instructions. I was going through last night, I was helping somebody out, and I was just tossing a couple free programs at them. If anybody wants some free weightlifting programs, send me an email, website. I link it up occasionally. If not, it's litstrength.com. But be able to sit there and looking at programs and looking at how they kind of evolved over time. And I started looking at ones from all the way back in like 2015. They were very basic, just the exercises listed, just the sets and reps listed, and that's it. And that's what I was giving athletes. And I was like, man, that kind of sucks, right? Like, that's all I was giving athletes. And you know, that's good. That's a small structure. For a lot of people, that will do a lot. And as I started to get more into it and started to understand the body more, and even now as I understand the body more, there's more detail, right? There's a lot more detail. I used to think it's weird because programming is simple, but it's also not simple. And starting to look at, like, even a year later after like looking at some of those programs from like 2015, like 5 years ago that I wrote, very simple, just exercises, sets, reps, you name it. All of a sudden 2016 comes around and now I've got like rest periods written in there. And all of a sudden that's like I've got specific execution and loading patterns like written in there, like, you know, how you load a movement in an exercise. So it's just something that's really interesting because when we look at programming, attention to detail is really key and really important. Your rest periods are important, right? Because we're changing recovery time, so it's going to influence hormone levels. It's going to influence bioavailability of things like creatine, phosphate. So being able to understand that programming is simple, but it's detailed, right? If you know the basic principles, you know the underlying causes, and you know your end goal. I know we've talked about that before, but being able to understand your goals and everything like that and kind of how to achieve it, it's not that it has to be complex, but it does have to be detailed. So just something to think about. And until next time, we'll see you in the passenger seat.